Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think would win when Superboy Prime and Thanos face each other, when absolute power collides with the will of annihilation? Superboy Prime is a version of Superman from a destroyed universe where he was once the only surviving hero. Unbound by conventional moral standards, Superboy Prime possesses nearly limitless strength, speed beyond time, the ability to fly, extraordinary durability, and most notably the power to directly affect reality itself. His punches can fracture the fabric of the multiverse, making him one of the most dangerous entities in DC. Thanos, the mad titan of Marvel, is an individual obsessed with power and philosophical destruction. Thanos himself already possesses physical strength far beyond most cosmic beings, a genius-level intellect, and the ability to manipulate energy. When wielding the Infinity Gauntlet with all 6 Infinity Stones, he can bend time, space, souls, and reality with a single thought. In this confrontation, Superboy Prime represents raw power and unrestrained fury, while Thanos embodies cold calculation and cosmic authority. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please subscribe and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much for your support. From a physical standpoint, Superboy Prime is often regarded as one of the most powerful versions of Superman ever to exist, second only to the legendary Superman 1,000,000. His power is not merely a matter of muscle or speed, but has reached a level capable of warping reality itself. The consequences of Superboy Prime actions were so severe that they disrupted the order of existence and even indirectly led to the resurrection of an individual who had been erased from the timeline. He once single-handedly overwhelmed an entire elite lineup. Power Girl fell quickly, and Martian Manhunter could not endure his assault. Even the Green Lantern Corps, symbols of willpower across the universe, were reduced to little more than faint shadows before his rage. More astonishingly, Superboy Prime fought 2 Supermen at the same time and still maintained the upper hand. Kryptonite, once the greatest weakness of Superman, was completely ineffective against him. Every familiar vulnerability simply did not exist in Superboy Prime. He inflicted real damage upon the Dark Knight, something very few have ever accomplished. Even when weakened, Superboy Prime at his peak still surpassed God Brainiac, a being who extended across the multiverse, reached the source, and observed countless versions of himself throughout all realities. In his very first encounter with Connor, Superboy Prime was already measured against the entire Justice League, representing a level of threat far beyond normal standards. By the time of his clash with Kid Flash, his strength was directly compared to Superman himself, with the conclusion that Prime was even superior to the icon of Krypton. During the chaos of Infinite Crisis, Black Adam endured Prime brutal blows and counterattacked, briefly knocking him down, but that moment did nothing to diminish what followed. Superboy Prime forced Amazo, who possessed the abilities of the entire Justice League, along with Silver Banshee, Gorilla Grodd, and many other entities, to exert their full power just to restrain him. Even so, he broke free of the encirclement and tore off Amazo's head in a scene that left the entire battlefield in stunned silence. Even while weakened, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, and many other heroes were completely helpless before that strength. In the antimatter universe, Prime in an incomplete state was still able to withstand attacks from the Anti-Monitor, who despite being weakened, still wielded powers spanning the entire antimatter universe and reaching the source wall in terms of scale. The pinnacle of destruction was further illustrated by the Golden Age Superman, a being who even surpassed his own peak version, whose punches shattered stars, caused the multiverse to tremble, and sent shockwaves felt by Green Lanterns scattered throughout the antimatter universe. He even hurled an entire moon at a weakened Anti-Monitor, turning the battle into an epic of raw power and cosmic despair. Superboy Prime once stood at the very center of the catastrophic explosion of Alexander Luthor Tower without suffering any harm. This was no ordinary structure, but the core convergence of creative energy that Alexander used to recreate countless universes during the Infinite Crisis. When the tower collapsed, the structure of reality itself began to disintegrate, and individual worlds fell into chaos. Yet, amid that extinction, Prime remained standing, as if he were an entity existing outside all laws of existence. After absorbing energy from a Guardian, Superboy Prime revealed abilities that transcended conventional dimensions. His heat vision could pierce through the 5th dimension as well as the source wall, reaching tiers of power reserved only for supreme beings. Prime once completely destroyed Earth 51, endured the full explosion of that planet, and continued fighting while casually moving planets like inanimate objects. The height of his overwhelming dominance was displayed in his confrontation with Monarch. Prime tore apart Monarch armor even after the Guardian amplifier had vanished. Monarch was a being above all monitors and all versions of Superman across the multiverse, and had also merged with 51 parallel incarnations of Captain Atom. Although Monarch had once survived a point-blank explosion, Prime proved that his raw strength was sufficient to rival, and even surpass, those very amplifiers. Superboy Prime once clashed with Sodom Yat at a time when Sodom possessed the power of Ion, resulting in a suffocating stalemate. However, as the battle escalated, Prime not only endured, but defeated Sodom even after his opponent had unified the power of Ion, the central power battery, and all 7,200 rings of the Green Lantern Corps. In that same battle, Bart, Alan, Mon-El, and many other heroes were drawn into the vortex of violence, yet none were capable of stopping Prime. His strength was measured against Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner, who had once joined forces to defeat Parallax Gauntlet. Even a weakened Hal Jordan was able to withstand attacks from Parallax Kyle, while an even weaker version of Hal still stood firm against Sinestro, who at the time wielded most of the power of the Green Lantern Corps and control over the central power source. Yet, Superboy Prime surpassed them all. He shattered the defensive constructs formed by the entire Green Lantern Corps, a force that with only 20% of its power had once breached the singularity of Darkseid, which was consuming the multiverse and distorting nearly the entire map of existence. That moment transformed Prime into a symbol of unstoppable power, a storm that defied every limit cosmic beings had believed to be inviolable. Superboy Prime once confronted Connor Kent directly in a decisive clash. It is worth noting that even a much weaker Connor Kent had once been strong enough to single-handedly hold back Darkseid when he had just become the ruler of Apocalypse, despite Connor lacking many renowned feats. By the era of Death Metal, Superboy Prime had evolved far beyond his former limits. He was powerful enough to defeat Golden Age Superman, Post-Crisis Superman, and Connor Kent simultaneously. Prime even inflicted severe damage upon the Darkest Knight, despite that entity restraining its own power. Prime punches generated shockwaves that tore apart the realities created by the Darkest Knight, each of which was a complete DC map with its own emotional spectrum and divine authority. In that moment, Prime was no longer merely a warrior, but a living force of destruction, one who dared to challenge the very fate of the multiverse. Prime is an extremely powerful character at a cosmic level and beyond, often described as vastly stronger than many heroes and capable of destroying an entire universe solely through the shockwaves of his punches. I sincerely hope you will subscribe to the channel. It would help us greatly, and you are truly amazing. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about Thanos. Thanos has always been regarded as one of the beings with the most terrifying physical strength ever to appear in the universe. With nothing more than raw punches, he has crushed entire planets, leaving cosmic debris behind as proof of his near-divine power. The true limits of that strength remain an open question, because every time Thanos steps onto the battlefield, he demonstrates that he still surpasses what was previously known. Born as a deviant titan afflicted with deviant syndrome, Thanos was already superior to his own kind. His power was further amplified through meditation, ancient magic, and biological augmentations, causing all other Titans and Eternals to pale in comparison. When Lady Death directly enhanced his power, Thanos surpassed his inherent limits and drew closer to the level of an absolute cosmic entity. Not stopping there, Thanos also possesses the ability to absorb nearly limitless cosmic energy, converting it it into fuel to push his physical strength to extraordinary heights. As an immortal deviant enhanced on every level, he is not only stronger than most of his species, but also has an innate capacity to continuously increase his power from the surrounding environment. The pinnacle of power is represented by the heart, an artifact created by the Supreme Being to maintain the balance between good and evil throughout the entire multiverse. Whoever possesses the heart nearly becomes the foundation of creation itself. Thanos described this power as far beyond all imagination, vastly greater than the cosmic cube or even the Infinity Gauntlet, transforming him into the embodiment of ambition and absolute power. The heart represents authority at the highest possible level, to the point where Thanos could freely rewrite everything in the universe or add things that had never existed before. When merged with this power, he easily subdued the Celestials and extended his reach to absorb fundamental entities such as infinity, eternity, and even the living tribunal. Reality before Thanos was no longer governed by laws, but was merely material for him to shape according to his will. With power beyond conventional limits, Thanos was capable of directly confronting Thor in his warrior madness state, further enhanced by the Power Gem. Warrior Madness amplifies Thor's strength and durability by tenfold, while the Power Gem grants him nearly limitless stamina and strength without any upper ceiling. It should be remembered that even in his normal state, Thor is not only the god of thunder, but also the god of strength of Asgard. The physically most powerful being among all the Norse gods, Thor has defeated or stalemated some of the most fearsome beings in the universe, such as the Midgard Serpent, Hulk, Silver Surfer, Namor, Abomination, Bi-Beast, Red Hulk, Colossus, Gladiator, and even Hercules, the strongest god of Olympus. Thanos, being able to stand equal to and even overpower such a Thor, turned him into a symbol of pure power, a being standing at the boundary between divinity and absolute annihilation, where all standards of strength lose their meaning. The physical power of Thanos reached a level that made the entire universe wary. He has effortlessly defeated Silver Surfer, struck Hulk out of a charging rage with a single punch, completely overpowered Beta Ray, Bill, and Ronan the Accuser, and crushed Ronan cosmic weapon as if it were an inanimate object. Even more notable are his duels with powerful tyrants, where Thanos not only endured but asserted his absolute dominance. He defeated Black Bolt, whose voice could shatter planets, overcame Annihilus when that being was enhanced by the power of Hulk in close combat, and directly confronted the champion of the universe while that entity wielded the Power Gem. Even Mar-Vell, a being capable of simultaneously holding back Nova, Silver Surfer, and Quasar, ultimately fell before Thanos. Not stopping there, he also defeated Zuras, the strongest Eternal of Earth, and then overwhelmed Icarus, who ranked only behind Zuras in power, all within moments. Thanos once lifted the Galactus engine and tore it out from the core of the living planet Ego. In a battle with Drax, he destroyed an entire planet. The climax came in his confrontation with Thane when Thane was empowered by the Phoenix Force. Thanos delivered a punch that sent Thane crashing down to the planet below, then charged straight through his opponent, crushing the very world where they fought. Each battle served as a cold reminder that before Thanos, power was not merely an advantage, but an inescapable sentence. Thanos possesses a state of immortality that surpasses even abstract entities such as Galactus or Eternity, beings who cannot even touch the regulators without self-destruction. Thanos himself absorbed the power of the Infinity Stones along with Kronos, pushing his existence beyond all familiar limits. In a future timeline, an even more terrifying version of Thanos emerged, completely nullifying the power of the sorcerer Adam and the entire tribunal, as none of them were able to intervene or exert any influence over this entity. Thanos spread death on a truly multiversal scale, erasing countless lives and civilizations as if they were meaningless numbers. The most frightening aspect was not the number of victims, but the fact that no force could stop him. Future Thanos completed his final plan, becoming the embodiment of absolute eternity and merging with time itself. At the moment he reached supreme power, Thanos even became the embodiment of the Omnipotent One, although his present self could not fully control that power. Only the future Thanos truly held dominion. He summoned multiple versions of Thanos from key moments throughout his own life to converse with Eros. even while being imprisoned by his future self. Time was continuously frozen, and reality became the stage for a single will, where Thanos was no longer a conqueror, but an inescapable destiny. The multiverse trembled after an unprecedented event, as if the foundation of reality itself had been violently shaken. From that chaos, Superboy Prime emerged like a living storm, carrying the fury of one who believed this world had been flawed from the very moment it was created. Thanos immediately sensed a threat unlike any he had faced before, a power that obeyed no laws, feared no gods, and held no reverence for destiny. Superboy Prime charged forward like a living meteor, every punch fracturing space and tearing light apart. Thanos responded with the experience of millennia of warfare, with cold strategy and extraordinary resilience. Yet, as the clash continued, the disparity gradually became clear. Superboy Prime did not tire, did not retreat, and grew more frenzied with every exchange, as if his rage were an endless source of fuel. Thanos quickly realized that this was not an opponent he could outlast through conventional means. He shifted to manipulation, attempting to bend the tide through time and psychological warfare. But every cosmic barrier was shattered by Superboy Prime with nothing more than raw punches. Space collapsed, time warped, and every scheme and weapon of annihilation was unleashed by Thanos. Yet Prime continued advancing without hesitation. The confrontation was no longer merely a battle, but a collision between a living entity and the very concept of survival. Thanos struck at Prime's deepest obsession, the longing for a perfect world that had been lost. For a brief moment, Prime wavered, his rage turning into chaos. Yet that very loss of control caused his power to erupt beyond all limits. Thanos attempted to invade Prime's mind, glimpsing a vision of a future Thanos wielding supreme authority and erasing everything within the endless void. Even so, when the threat reached a cosmic scale, Thanos once again stood on the higher rung. He prevailed not only through endurance beyond all norms, but through an arsenal of universe-level attacks, superior strategic intellect, and a history of surviving opponents who bore the likeness of gods, affirming that Thanos remains the ultimate benchmark of calculated destruction. Thanos is the victor. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That is today's video. Thank you very much.